clubs, Brantford, like before everything shut down because of COVID.
Oh, this is recently?
Like I go back once in a while, but just
Okay.
I used to love going to those things on Friday nights. My buddies used to perform. Like they just get super stoned, go on stage. I just sit in the back, just laugh my ass off. It's great. And then you get to see the other comedians and stuff too. So great time. They had the contests and stuff like we were saying.
Yeah.
And won a couple of those. So if you ever need one rolled, got you.
Definitely.
Perfect.
Need your services.
Especially with COVID lockdown coming back up.
Definitely need a couple joints in the system,
Yeah, potentially. Or glasses of wine.
Yeah.
Or hard liquor for really going
Depending how long we're in this lockdown for.
Real, man.
There's levels to this shit, man.
LCBO been in business, still popping during any shutdown.
It's essential service now.
Essential.
Well, it's been essential, but
For real. What do you think has been people's like go-to
escape
from shutdown? I think sports was a big one.
That was a big one for
us. But sports came back like near the end of it.
Yeah.
Because like hoops came back and
football.
But we were already outside at that point.
Yeah.
But did football really come back though? They had to there's a bunch of games that they had to postpone because of COVID. Because half a team used to get it. And all that other stuff. But it's probably gonna be our last weekend of non-lockdown.
Yeah.
We went out yesterday because of that.
Yeah, I was out too. Like news is Monday. Toronto's gonna lock down again. No more gyms, restaurants. We're here in Windsor and Code Orange. Is that what it is?
Yeah. Monday.
Yeah, Monday. So, what is it? Last call's at 9:00 now.
Word. Zoom pods now or what?
No.
I hate Zoom pods.
It's not the same
bubble?
energy, man.
That's gross. That's disgusting, man. I'm not down.
Just spreading COVID inside this bubble.
All right.
No, so I don't know. I don't think we should do a Zoom podcast. I think
that's gross.
Yeah.
I don't like those.
The energy's off. Like, you can't really read the room.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lag. There's you say your piece, and the guy's got to talk.
And the guy's still waiting like this.
If you say something, it's like the guy thinks you cut him off, but maybe you just made a noise. Like, I don't know. It's not the same as being in person. I couldn't do a Zoom podcast.
Yeah, me neither.
Unless we're all in different parts of the world.
We've done like two.
We did those. Multiple times. We did those IG lives from each other's cribs. That was gross.
Yeah.
That was nasty.
That was. Yeah.
That was the initial test run for this podcast.
Exactly.
That was. Yeah. All right. Let's get into it then, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Hector, and as usual, I'm joined by some lovely gentlemen. I got Raz. I got Ian over here.
What's good?
I got Joe with me. Say what up, Joe. What up, Joe? Yes, sir. And welcome to The Bottom Line, where we learn, grow, and connect through topics about business, finance, entrepreneurship, and life in general. So today, me and the guys are going to be talking about what we've been doing this past week, which is going to include a big topic from Ian about Steve Jobs and his biography. And me and Raz, we've been indulging in the NBA offseason, so we're going to be talking about that and how the NBA draft connects with financial IPOs.
Yep.
So, gentlemen.
It's going to be a good up.
Yeah, for real. What have we been up to this week?
I think you wrapped it up pretty well. Ian's been doing well. He's been reading. Well, we've been addicted to Woj and Shams' Twitter feed.
You guys have been stuck on Woj.
Refreshing the Woj.
That's SPN. The best Twitter account for sure.
Word.
Shams is coming up though.
Shams? Yeah, he's sick with it sometimes. There is definitely. You see it in the comments. It'd be like, "Yo, Shams posted the draft picks that were traded, not Woj."
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, relax.
Woj still had him out.
Exactly.
He's still this guy's just on his phone.
He's on it, man.
Yeah.
Word.
What's the guy for the NFL? Adam Schefter or whatever?
Yeah, he's a classic. He's been around for time though.
And Mel Kiper and
Oh man.
Yeah, you always have to have those dedicated people bringing you the news like ASAP in sports.
Word. Texting all the GMs. Yo, what are you saying?
And I love it when some of them be like, "Yo, got an inside scoop." Like, what's his name does this a lot. The guy. Yeah. Got the inside scoop. Then they're like, "Yeah, that's big cap." Like KD's like, "Yo, you're lying, G."
Yeah. Who told you that? Yourself?
Yeah.
I'm the big scoop, so I can say it.
Yeah, it's funny as hell.
For real.
No, so let's talk about you.
Yeah,
would
I
you
mean,
love-
I've been
into?
keeping up with hoops a
Oh,
bit
of course.
too, but one thing I've been doing a lot this week is reading this Steve Jobs biography, I should say. I don't know why I picked it up. It's been on my desk for a bit, and honestly, the book is big as hell.
Yeah, it's
and
like
that
900 pages.
Yeah, that kind of scared me off for a bit. I didn't think I wanted to invest a bunch of time into reading like 900 pages, but decided to give it a try this week. And honestly, I haven't been disappointed. I'm like 100 pages in, and it's been great so far. Like, I know we're all pretty familiar with who Steve Jobs is, but what's great about this book is that they don't put him on this like esteem god level status type thing. The author does a good job of just bringing him back to being like a normal human being with his great strengths, obviously, that we all know about, but also like very, very apparent weaknesses, and accounts and stories from family members, friends, neighbors, co-workers, this and that. Everyone has a different viewpoint of who you are as a person. So the author does a great job of basically having all of those people talk about him in good situations and in bad situations. So yeah, man, it's been dope, and we get to see Steve Jobs in a way where he's like the big tech nerd that loved building stuff because he got that influence from his dad and from people in his area as well. He grew up in Silicon Valley, basically. So at the start of Silicon Valley, when there wasn't like Facebook and Apple and all those
anything
big,
really around there.
anything,
Just Northern
right?
California, just a bunch of woods. Like
yeah.
nothing.
Nowadays, it's like Silicon Valley is just billions and
giant.
billions and billions of dollars, passing through there. But when he was young and he was growing up, it wasn't like that. But in this book, they talk about that, his beginnings as, being introduced to technology, him being introduced to religion in a way, right? He's a big Buddhist, Zen, meditation type dude.
Yeah.
Indulged in bear drugs, did his thing. Like,
They say it's only one time that he did the acid, but
That's cap.
but
That's
there's no
big
way.
cap. That's big cap. But I just think it's cool because, it brings him back to that level of just him being a human being, him being a 16-year-old, 18-year-old that tries shit out. We've all been in that
Shouts
situation.
out psychedelics one time, man.
Cheers to that.
For real. We didn't even cheers.
Yeah, this is the
What?
first cheers in the pod.
Did you cheers to psychedelics?
I was thinking about it while you were talking. I'm like, I don't think we
Cheers to
on camera
psychedelics?
yet.
For real.
Crazy.
Those are gonna become legal soon, so
Word.
especially
For real.
psilocybin and stuff. So
Yeah.
they're getting really pushed in Canada right now. I think there's 2 companies.
That's what Steve Jobs was saying. He was like, if I could recommend one thing for everyone, it's to try LSD once or something like that. Which is nuts, but he probably had his own reasons.
Not nuts.
I mean, to some people it would be.
Oh yeah.
I know your
easy.
moms would. My
Moms
mom's would be
dumb
like,
stressed if I'm like, yo, mom,
If you
send it
moving
LSD
like
real
that.
quick. Because
But-
Steve Jobs told me.
in a book
yeah,
after he passed away.
yeah. But
No, because
moms-
I've listened to
Yeah.
the book as well too. Like it's a couple years old.
Mhm.
So
I got the same book.
Yeah.
I just haven't picked it up again because it's daunting.
it's a thick book. Like you
Big.
pick it
Yeah.
up and it's like,
Yeah.
how much of this guy's life could I really read about? You know, how this guy wore turtleneck jeans and and Nike. What's the shoe?
The New Balances?
The New Balances. Yeah, the
The
dad
dad
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how if
What do you
keeps-
like about the book?
just like what Ian said,
Mhm.
it's not one of these books that pretty much just like paints him as such a great guy, like made all this money from Apple. Like they go into his Pixar side too. They go into like how he's really artsy, really just like the flow of it. Pixar was doing poorly. He went and ran that company, made it into a huge company. I don't know if you got to that part of the book
Not
yet.
yet.
But
Spoilers.
I mean, we all kind of know his story.
for sure, you all kind of know the general layout. But like the truth is, like he made more money from Pixar than he did from Apple. Like he brought the
Yeah.
company from like a dying company to one of the biggest animation companies in the world. And then but with Apple, like Apple was already kind of ready to go. He was in Apple before they kicked him out. He went to Pixar, like then he went back. Like there's a huge story. It wasn't like Steve Jobs is just known for Apple. It kind of goes
Yeah.
into the whole history of how the man that we know as Steve Jobs became to be the man that we know as Steve Jobs.
Exactly.
Right?
And it's tough to put that. It's tough to put anyone in a box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially someone like Steve Jobs, because he was so into so many different things. Like, it wasn't just building technology; it was about the design. It was about marketing the product. I think something that was cool is because if we're just talking about technology, Steve Wozniak was the guy behind the hardware and the tech and everything like that. But Steve Wozniak was saying, if I was running Apple, if I was the head man at Apple, especially in those early years, it wouldn't have gone to the point that it is now today, because Steve was that visionary that wanted to sell this. He wanted to sell the Apple One and the Apple II, whereas Steve just wanted to give it away for free to people that liked computers.
Right.
But Steve Jobs was like, nah, this is something that I could see everyone in America using in their own house to balance their checkbooks, to listen to music or find whatever they need to find on a computer. Like, it was that type of vision, and it was that type of vision that made him so appealing to people.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's almost similar to The Last Dance, like what we were watching during
the beginning of quarantine.
It was, they did a good job again of getting so many people's different accounts on Michael Jordan and who he was as a person, as a teammate, whatever it was. And it wasn't always great, right? Like, there were some people that said he was an asshole, he was this, that. But at the end of every time those players said that, you know, the next segment, it was like, he was the greatest though. And if he didn't push us that way, we wouldn't have won 6 championships. And I think that's the same way with Steve Jobs. Like, yeah, he might have been hard. He was an asshole to some people, but without him being like that and peeking into the future the way that he did, a lot of this technology that we have right now would have taken a lot longer to come about. It's pretty crazy. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys think there's any like visionaries of that sort right now? Do you guys, whether it's in fashion or?
I think it's Elon Musk. Like, at this point, like, he's kind of the visionary of the times. Like, you'll see what's his name? The guy that owns
Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. He wants to go to space too, but not in the same fashion as Elon Musk. Like, Elon Musk wants everybody to have, he doesn't care if Tesla makes a lot of money. Eventually he wants to release this as open source. Like, I want every car to be electric one day.
Yeah.
I want to make it so it's cheap to get to space. I want to be the first one that gets to Mars. You know, like, he's the one that puts those ideas out as a visionary, and he's the one that has 6 different projects, like big projects all at once. He's got Solar City. He's got go to SpaceX. He's got the Neuralink. Like, he's got his Boring Company where he just makes products and like stuff like that. Like, Tesla's got like a tequila company now, or there's like a tequila Tesla that's just been selling off the shelves. Like, so anything he puts his name or brand on, like, is going to blow up like wildfire. But he's got that vision of, I'm going to build underground tunnels under LA to make it easier to fight traffic and stuff like that. Just little things to make mankind better. And I don't see any visionary like him like that. Other than him, it's like Steve Jobs and I went to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Like,
it was cool with Elon Musk too is that even before the Tesla story, there was PayPal, there was this and there was that. Like, he's one of those guys that even at a young age has been
doing it,
changing the status quo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool to see.
No, I think he knows what he's doing. Those are 1 in a million kind of people, you know, 1 in a billion, if anything. There's so many people now where it's 1 in a million. There's still 7,000 or 8,000 people like you in the world if we're going to go that way. But it's probably like 1 in a billion, 1 in 10 billion people. Like, the way he masters his time and all that other stuff, like, it's probably what Steve Jobs was doing.
Yeah.
Maybe in his company, he had 10 different projects going on. We're going to work on the iPhone, the iPad, the iPod, the iMac, like, all these different lines, but they're all kind of doing different things. But he was kind of in control of all of those. So just in a 24-hour day, to be able to get all those new visions starting up, like you were talking about initially, of he wanted the Apple computer to be there for everybody to kind of use, but there was still the Windows computer at the time. Like, Windows was just, the reason it was doing so much better was just because it did everything and more than the Apple did. Plus, it was cheaper.
Yep.
So, but the Apple computer looked a little bit nicer. It was in those like colorful colors. Like, you remember going to elementary school, like seeing those like Macs there. They couldn't really do much, like play a couple games, maybe go on the internet, but they looked great. And but they were like 30% or 50% more than a regular PC. So people are just like, you know what, I need a computer to kind of do the work. But now people are more interested in the aesthetics of the product, how it looks, how it performs. Is it a big ecosystem? Whereas before it was just like, let me take a piece from here, let me take a piece from here. It's the Steve Wozniak idea. Let me just get this to people that enjoy the product and get it from there, you know. But Steve kind of threw that.
Do you think we celebrate some of these people too late after the fact?
Of course. Yeah, sometimes you don't give the flowers, like Benny said in that one track, I want my bouquet when I can smell it.
Yeah.
You know, some of these people don't get that praise until it's all said and done and they're gone, and companies have to move without them. You know, Apple is doing its thing, but he laid that foundation for them to really see what they can do for the future. You know what I'm saying? Someone like Kobe even, bring it back to him. Everyone was comparing him to Jordan, saying he's a little less. But now it's like, he's gone, and people are like, we had the best of both, you know?
Yeah, people accepted him as the remix.
Yeah, like he was Jordan 2.0, and we're going to take that regardless. You know what I'm saying? So when someone's gone, it's like, damn, it's just human nature, I guess.
Yeah, you
take
like,
it for granted.
You were saying initially, like, Steve Jobs probably not the greatest guy, but during the time, people always have their opinions. I don't like this guy because he did this and this.
Exactly.
But once the guy passed away, it's easy to forgive all those, like,
You just
he called me an asshole that one time, he didn't approve my idea, like, whatever.
Just remember the legacy he kind of left.
Yeah, so
you know
you remember the good stuff when he's passed away, but when he's alive, it's very easy to be like, great, it's a $5 billion company, but you know, I still hate that guy. Fuck Apple. You know, like, I'm not gonna buy an Apple product because I hate Steve Jobs. But as soon as he passed away, it's like, maybe all the things Steve Jobs did weren't as bad as, like, I was more upset in the moment than anything else like that. Once you get a time to, like, chill and process it, you kind of, it's easier to give somebody their due. But it's not even haters. You're always fed a certain type of story. There's always a PC versus Mac. Like, if you're a Mac guy, you didn't know anything about computers. Like,
I remember
you know,
those
remember those days?
remember the commercials, like PC versus Mac, like all that. So, like, people were just always put into little groups. Like, if you're an Apple guy, you love Steve Jobs. But if you like to do a little customization, or you don't want to be in this Apple ecosystem, you're now this genius guy who does his own research. It's very similar to the Trump and all the other stuff, the Republicans and all that stuff. Like,
for real.
Yeah, we do our own research. It's the same kind of people, you know. Like, once you're put into two different categories, you either hate the guy or you love the guy. There's no kind of in between. But once the guy passes away, it's easier to go into the, you know what, I can put all that stupid stuff that I thought was, you know, about him, but it really was just like marketing or all that other BS. You know, I can put that to the side and appreciate it for who he actually was.
And they were great at marketing. Like, Steve Jobs and Apple definitely, like, up the standard for tech companies, because a lot of them were just known for being boring and, you know, giving you that product, giving you that computer, whatever it was, and just letting you do what you had to do with it. But they took that to another level, and that's what I appreciate a lot about Steve Jobs as well. I think he just saw the bigger picture constantly. Like, it wasn't just getting you a computer that you could use at your house, but it was how to optimize the design, you know what I'm saying? How to make every little detail absolutely perfect so that it's seamless at all.
Like, even just look around the room. Like, that iMac fits perfectly in here, man. This is exactly what you need if you're going to run a store. One screen, everything's in there. No small, stupid tower at the bottom. Like, you know, no loud fans. You just need something that's stand up, looks good. You can put that thing anywhere. You can make that, like, the main centerpiece of, like, a room or something, you know, have a couple backlights behind it, like, make a really nice looking room. Whereas if you get a regular PC that's just got an Acer monitor from another company, and then you've got a Dell power supply, whatever, it's just, they made the package look good, you know, like, they brought everything in, they made, like, a closed system and gave you the product that works, you know. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to know anything else. You just have to know how to use our product, you know.
Exactly.
So
talk about that marketing.
Exactly.
Dang,
I love this so much.
You put it up in our board, bro.
Yeah, I did.
I want you to dive deep into that because I loved it.
Yeah, because one of my favorite parts of the book so far was when they broke down the Apple marketing philosophy. So when Apple first started, with both Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, they're starting to recruit some people to work with them, and they got this marketing guy. Forget his first name, but his last name is Markula. And he had some experience working with some tech firms in Silicon Valley. He joined the team afterwards, basically helped them put their marketing philosophy into 3 main points, which was empathy, focus, and input. Empathy being understanding what the consumer wants, always being
Putting yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
putting yourself in your shoes, understanding, what the consumer wants. And also, Steve is known to say that the consumer doesn't know what they want at the same time. It's like a balance of both sides. Like, we want to know what the consumer needs, but at the same time, as the professionals and the experts, let's give them something that they don't even know that they need.
Yeah, like guidance.
But it's going to benefit them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. The second one being focus, and that's just focusing on one thing or focusing on one picture and letting all the other distractions kind of not distract you in a way, which I think is super important in a business setting. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you could focus on or put your attention towards.
I've got a point after to talk about this too, but carry on with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you could, even at low end, like, there's a lot of stuff that we could put our attention towards.
Yeah,
but is it really impactful? Does it increase our bottom line? Does this fit our brand message and our branding and everything like that? So I thought that was pretty cool when they added that, like, being focused on what exactly you want to do is super important in a business setting. And the last one, input, is Apple to its core, because Apple is always known for designing and packaging their products in the best way possible. You know what I mean? Like, even if you just look at the simple iPhone boxes that they come into, like, you don't get a phone in that nice of a box anywhere else.
Even just the way they design the box, so like when you pull it up, to like
delay
right at the end before the box pops out. Like
just the way it feels, bro.
Yeah, for real.
It's smooth till it till you get to the end and you're like, oh, all right, finally I get to enjoy this. Like,
Exactly.
It's a pleasurable experience throughout.
And the amount of focus and detail they put into executing the packaging and the designing of a product, even though I'm gonna toss that box I got my phone in a few seconds after.
The Apple boxes are the only ones that I keep.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they actually look good, and I like it. It's the same with the Easy Shoes. You need them for the resale.
Yeah.
If you're gonna ever sell your phone, you should probably keep the box. And those things, like, I've thrown out all my Google boxes. Any Nexus phone I get, the cardboard goes in the garbage. But like the white box with the phone on it, never throw out. Like, everything just fits perfectly in there. It looks good. But a point I was going to talk about with the focus thing, like, even with the new iOS, they finally got widgets now. Widgets have been on Android for years.
Mm-hmm.
Years. But they didn't focus on that as something that they thought was important. They've made widgets introduced in the newest update, and now kind of everybody uses them. I see them on, like, a lot of people iPhones, but I don't see them on Android phones. Androids have had them forever, but they've never been, like, done well. Like, some people have them. They've got the clock and all those other little widgets and stuff, but it's just never something that needed to be focused on. It was just like an extra feature. But now that they've kind of added it, they've sold it well, and they've actually brought value to the widget. It may have taken them 6 or 7 years to release it, but they just didn't think it was important. The same thing with, like, there's phones that have 64 megapixel cameras when the iPhone only had 12 for like so many years.
Yeah.
But the iPhone still always has one of the best cameras in the market. They kind of just figure out how to get you the product because of their marketing and their initial concepts. Like, we're going to focus on one thing. We're going to make it happen really well. We're going to make the product look really good, and we're going to make sure it works really well.
Exactly.
Without you having to spend hours on forums to figure out how to debug this. And if you get a blue screen, like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, an Apple product, you turn it on. If you know how to use one, you know how to use them all.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was, like, I'm excited to finish the book because I'm already getting so much just great information and great ideas and just good inspiration in general from a guy like Steve Jobs. We could put, again, you could argue he's a bad guy, this, that, but if you you look at it at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from someone like him.
Yeah, definitely.
It's balance of things, man. You can't
Gotta
be
be an
good at-
asshole
you,
sometimes.
Yeah, you can't. This one book I'm reading, I don't even remember the full name of it, but like, stop being like such a good guy. Like, just, I know the name's a little off, but just pretty much like how to, or something about nice guys or whatever. Just, I could actually pull up the name so I don't look like an idiot. But just essentially the same thing. Like, you gotta be a little bit of a dick sometimes. You gotta put yourself first, and then
100%.
sometimes you gotta put other people first. Like,
Yeah. You see
No
it.
More Mr. Nice Guy. That's what the book's called. It's by Dr. Robert Glover. I've only listened to like 45 minutes of it, but it was recommended to me by another podcast, like that entrepreneurship one.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I
Earn
watched.
Your Leisure?
No,
no?
Earn Your Leisure is another one that I watched, but this one's also a business podcast too.
Oh, nice.
And they recommended the book. I've got all these credits on Audible and stuff, so I just, anytime I hear a good book recommendation, whether it's on a YouTube video or whatever, I just downloaded it. If I don't like it, Audible's got that nice return feature where it just goes, and they give you
get the credit back.
Yeah,
Dang.
you can do it. You can do it.
Shouts out Audible, man.
Yeah.
So don't worry, we'll get you as sponsors. No, so like if you don't like it in the first 45 minutes, an hour, just return it, get your credit back. Another book. So
big talk.
not a problem.
That's easy.
Get the information you want to hear. If it doesn't sit with you,
Send
sometimes
it
you need to hear that information if you don't like what you're hearing. But
Yeah.
you know, if the book doesn't do it for you, just return it. You got nothing to lose. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Word. For real.
what's up?
So let's dive into what you guys have been up to.
Oh man.
NBA,
Last
just
week.
refreshing Twitter.
Shams, Woj,
Shams and
my new
Woj.
best friends for the week.
Is that the new verses?
Shams,
Shams and Woj? That's nasty.
they get into a bout.
Oh man.
You think? I think Shams would have that if they get into a scrap. He's a little bit younger.
Yeah, he is.
You know, he's about that life.
Is that the ESPN guy or?
No, Woj's on
Woj
ESPN.
is ESPN,
Where's the Shams guy? I haven't seen.
Is he independent? Because he's
I
on.
think he is. Let me take a look.
Unless he works for Fox, he might be independent.
Okay. I've always been used to Woj.
Because I think it's
That's where I've
Shams
been
NBA. That's literally it.
Yeah, that's where I've been getting
Yeah,
my
it's
news
Shams Karchina.
Yeah, but does he work for
He's
a
a
company?
lead NBA inside writer analyst
Bleacher Report.
for the Athletic and Stadium.
Okay, the Athletic.
Okay. So what's been I want to ask you guys, what's been your favorite deal and your least favorite deal from the past week, or even just
There's been a
NBA
lot of
news?
deals.
There's been a
Been
lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
It's been a busy week.
Yeah, I think the hometown favorite is we get to keep Van Vliet. Like
Yep.
Toronto re-signed Van Vliet for
Mhm.
what was it, 88 million for 4 years?
85.
85.
Yeah.
4.
The biggest contract for an undrafted free agent.
He bet on
Gotta
himself.
get,
Word.
He's a real
give
entrepreneur.
Gotta give props to Van Vliet, man.
Yeah.
For real.
For sure.
And he's got his little like a brand clothing.
Yeah.
Does a lot of that
Saw
too.
that.
And he's
Like
a sponsor for another shout out too for Osmos. It's a huge Mediterranean restaurant.
in
I've had
Toronto.
that.
Yeah, real
Chicken
good.
on the rocks.
Ben
Fire.
Osmo, if you're hearing this, my buddy Ben Osmo, he owns the place. Good looks on the restaurants, man. I hope you're doing well. I know you just opened up your 100th one. Congrats.
Ooh, okay.
Nice.
Nice.
So they're doing big up there, and him and Norman Powell are sponsors for them. You'll see them in
Yeah.
the commercials and
Yeah,
stuff
I've seen
too.
them.
That's sick.
So it was big for that his company too that
He resigned.
re-signed with Toronto because now you can keep
Yeah,
the deals
keep
going
the
and
guy,
stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So good looks on that. Happy for Osmos.
For real.
Hope you guys hear this.
As a Lakers fan, though, I'm very excited from the deals that I've seen.
They've been
Harold.
cleaning up shop.
Harrell and Schroeder, 6th man of the year, and
Was it
possible
runner up
candidate.
6?
Yeah,
was
runner
it,
up.
Dennis
Maybe.
Schroeder, what was he? 6th man
He's-
this year? No, Harold.
No,
was 6th man.
Harrell was 6th man,
Yeah.
and then Schroeder averaged the most points off the bench. I think like 18.6.
Yeah.
something
Damn,
like that,
man.
which I'm very happy to get those two. We lost someone like Dwight and Rajon Rondo, but
Happy Rajon didn't go to the Clippers. That was
Yeah.
the only beef I would have had. Because
they got Ibaka though.
Yeah.
So
That was. I really hoped
Big
he would have
move.
went to LA, but you know what? I hoped he would have stayed on Toronto, to be honest. But
Same with me.
yeah,
But if he was going to go somewhere, I appreciate that. Actually, I hate that it's the Clippers, but I appreciate that we're getting Marcus All.
mm-hmm.
So that's
And you
that's
guys got Montrezl Harrell though.
Yeah.
Like, damn.
it's a deep team right
Yeah.
now.
Well,
For real.
is it anymore? We just got rid of JaVale.
Yeah.
So what's it going to be? Marcus Gasol starting at center? You think?
Yeah, Mark, Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Dang.
Trez coming off
Bron,
the bench.
Yeah. and Schroeder coming off the bench probably.
You think Schroeder's going to come off the bench?
I could see it.
So what do you think the starting line is going to be?
KCP and Caruso.
Okay, yeah. KCP, Caruso, yeah.
That's
Caruso?
Yeah.
As point guard?
Braun's basically the
Braun's
point guard.
basically
Yeah.
the PG.
Yeah.
He
Just need
runs
some
with
wing
it's basically
defenders.
they run with him.
You don't think they're going to
Regardless.
put KCP on there?
No, I said KCP. So it'd be KCP,
You don't think Kuzma's going to start?
Caruso. Kuzma's gone. I think he's gone.
To who?
I don't know. They got
People are saying Detroit.
Yeah.
People are saying.
But Detroit's made their moves.
That's
true as well.
We got a lot of moves.
Terrible moves from Detroit, by the way.
Good moves and bad moves.
Yeah.
They're really the home. Are they the hometown team or?
They're my hometown. I can see.
For all the Windsor folk listening,
this is
they
hometown.
are our hometown team for sure.
Man, bring me back to the glory days. 04, 05.
We're getting there, bro. We got that huge 7th pick. The French boy, he's gonna come
Killian
in.
Hayes, he's nice.
Killian Hayes is gonna come
We'll
in and
talk
rock
about
it.
the draft later, though.
Yeah, he's gonna come in and rock it.
Mm-hmm.
We've made some good moves. I think we've signed way too many fucking centers, but we'll get onto
Plumlee
that,
and who was it? Jalil, right?
Jalil Okafor.
yeah. Washed.
Past his time. Again,
I think
20 years
Mason
ago, he
Plumlee's
would've been
nice. I think Mason Plumlee's nice. 3 years,
hate
25 million,
Is he gonna start there?
probably.
So him and Blake Griffin in the front court.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who.
That's the times we're in for the Pistons.
Yeah.
We have no idea. We have no idea who's playing there. Who's your small forward? Let me know. Doumbia?
No, it's not.
Christian
Luke
Wood
Kennard
did though.
got
Luke Kennard's gone.
traded.
Luke Kennard's gone
Yeah.
too.
He's to the Clips. No,
Yeah.
is
You went to the Clips?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great. Yeah,
Peace.
they
That's
got
a
the
good,
17th pick
That's
or
a good
19th pick for him
Mm-hmm.
because Clippers traded what's his name?
Shamit.
Shamit Face, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
Yeah, they traded Shamit Face to
I don't even know.
who's the third team in that trade? Holy shit!
There's bear action in the NBA.
Too
this
much.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to process.
I need to have like Woj's Twitter right
Yeah,
in
we
front
gotta
of me. and
open
just,
up the
like,
Twitter.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
but you know what? We still got D Rose on the Pistons.
That's fine.
Blake,
Blake.
and then we got a bunch of starters. Like,
I like Detroit Blake.
He was injured all last year, bro.
yeah.
But when
But
he
he's
was
coming
playing-
back nice.
Yeah, when
He's
he was
coming
playing,
back
he
nice.
was nice. Yeah.
I like his
Very
game.
true.
I didn't think he was gonna be playing like this when he first got drafted into the league. Not
He's
gonna
hitting
lie.
step back threes nowadays, man.
between the
Decent
legs,
percent.
like
Yeah. Not bad, man.
you know what I'm saying? He's going
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah, they signed 2 really good rookies. I think the number 7 pick was good. I think they could have got
Killian Hayes. Yeah.
Killian Hayes,
pretty
but I
good.
think they could have got the guy that Sacramento got,
Tyrese Halliburton.
Halliburton.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like really, from what everybody's saying, supposed to be like in the top 5. Really dropped
Mhm.
low, but these guys know these guys better than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't really say that because
Some
Detroit
things
Pistons
happen.
picked up Luke Kennard over Donovan Mitchell a couple years ago, but
That's
uh,
nasty.
maybe not the best judge of character, but maybe that's what they needed on their team.
That's
at the
what
time.
happens in the NBA all the time, though, man.
It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You can
saying?
never really predict the future, right? So.
You can't
Yeah.
predict which kind of guys are going to feel some type of way after they get drafted.
Exactly.
13th, 14th pick. You never know what kind of firepower that gives somebody.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So if somebody thinks they're going to get picked 5th, 6th, 7th, and they drop all the way to 13th, 14th, that guy's going to come extra hard.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
If he's that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he's the kind of guy that is a gym rat, the ones that succeed in the NBA.
And the opposite, because if you were thinking that you're gonna get drafted in the middle, first round, 15, and you get drafted number 3, there's all of that pressure that all right,
Yeah.
I gotta be
nice.
prove my value.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That happens a lot because we've seen guys like Anthony Bennett or Jalil Okafor, all these
Please don't
players not being able to
On
live
my
up
Pistons.
to the
The expectations.
expectations.
Yeah, that goes to someone like Patrick Williams, who was drafted by the Chicago Bulls.
Mm.
4th pick. People were predicting maybe he shot up draft boards, but maybe mid lottery.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about. Yeah, the guy that Chicago drafted, the 4th pick, he was supposed to be like middle of the draft, got picked
Yeah, he
4th.
got
Everybody's
picked
like,
4th.
where did this guy come
Everyone
from?
was
This
shocked.
year?
Yeah.
Damn, man, it was cool.
But Florida State, so they run a system in Florida State where it's kind of they play 11 players and
Yep.
it's not really star driven, so it's like
I heard that too.
whole team play.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
So
it's just
it's hard for someone to kind of shine.
Mhm.
but he showed a lot of upside athletically and as a scorer. So he only averaged like I think 8 or 9 points, which
you got to see these guys like workouts though at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Like, especially when 11 players are playing. If 11 players score 8, 10, 11 points a game, you're at 100 points. Like you're doing pretty well. Like if you can get 8 or 11 guys to score 10 points ish, you're gonna win pretty much every game. But it doesn't look great when you're trying to get drafted. If you only average 10 points in this season.
That's what he's saying. Draft stock definitely got hurt from being there, but his workouts and the tests they did, like interviews, translated well for NBA level. So that's why Chicago took him, which is interesting, man.
Yeah. So
surprises of the draft.
So other than the draft, what are some other things that you looked at? We were talking about Van Vliet and stuff. He re-signed. Do you think that he got $85 million for 3 years? You think that's underpaid, overpaid, rightly paid? What do you think?
I think rightly paid. He's a great rotation player for them. Buckets off the bench. Easy.
Do you pay $85 million for a rotation player though?
I think you're paying $85 million for Lowry's.
Yeah, Lowry's
replacement basically.
Yeah, because Lowry's not getting any younger. So
exactly, and I think because we were going back to that draft, but they drafted a guard out of Nevada or something like that.
Yeah, 29th pick.
With the 29th pick, similar mold. See, some people are saying he's not, but
he's Fred VanVleet Jr., bro. Like he's like same game type, small, 6'2", shoot it.
Exactly. I think it's a steal at $85 million because again, they're basically paying for Lowry's replacement. He's gonna be a starter in a few years.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? And
he might be a starter this year. He's balling. He's dropping 20 points a game.
Exactly, and they do like running Lowry and VanVleet at the same time on the court for during the season. We've seen that a lot, right? So I think $85 million for basically a starter, or at least your next starter that you've groomed for so many years, and he's got that championship under his belt too. Like
he's lost for your team, man.
Yeah, I would have been disappointed if he left. I was a little disappointed when I saw Ibaka leave. I wanted to see him resign, but I think keeping VanVleet was probably their biggest priority. Yeah, easy. Definitely. And I think they got him at a good price.
Yeah, I think the going rate is probably in the middle of like 71 to probably anything more than 85. I think people would be tripping out.
Yeah,
because you're like at 20, 30, 85 or 45 over 3 years. Not bad. $15 million a year. That's a good salary. You know?
Yeah.
Everybody's kind of happy about that. Maybe some people would like it at 13, but then you're nickel and diamond, you know.
Yeah.
At that point, you could be like, you know what, I'm going to go to New York. They'll sign me for 4 years, $100 million. Like something like that.
But I think he definitely wants to try to continue that legacy in a way, right? With Toronto trying to get that second championship with them, and Toronto's just has grown to become one of those very, very good franchises in the NBA. They're long gone are the days of like laughing stock or whatever it is, that one team in Canada. Primo Pasta days.
My God.
Hated it. I don't buy Primo Pasta because of Bargnani.
I hated those commercials, man. Because they were losing Bear and this guy was promoting pasta. I'm like, yo.
Get back in the gym.
It's not Primo on the court, man. It's not Primo on the court.
No, but so are we gonna call it the Tampa Bay Raptors this year? Or?
Yeah, they're playing elsewhere because of COVID situation. Yeah. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys
all
think
of Canada
that?
pretty much is like, yeah, you can't have any games here, even though they're probably gonna do fanless games anyways. So
yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I guess that's probably more towards like teams traveling up to Canada and stuff like that as well.
Mm-hmm. It's probably too much of a logistics headache.
Yeah.
Because you got to quarantine for 14 days going into another country.
Yeah.
Coming back.
So the teams get 2 weeks off going in or 2 weeks off leaving the country. Yeah. Like, that would have, like... Especially because they're trying to get this season, like we were talking about the other episode, they want to get the season done with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
72 games or whatever it is.
Yep.
Focus on next year.
Yeah. And they don't want to make it longer.
Yeah. So imagine you have to come up to Toronto. Like, Toronto's probably like, you know what, man, too, like, I don't want to do a 14-day quarantine every single time I got to go back to the States.
Yeah.
That's just
for the players. Yeah.
Because they'd have to do it every single time.
Exactly.
Like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, what are you really gonna play? Might as well
Yeah.
just be in the States. And a lot of these guys are American anyways. It's not like
Yeah.
they're Canadian guys anyways.
It's not a big problem.
I mean, I guess there's some good benefits
good,
of being in Florida,
sure.
but at the same time,
the epidemic.
the epidemic there is going crazy. But hey, man,
They literally went to the worst spot.
yeah, they get to skip Toronto's winter though. So
Yeah, that's probably why they
Yeah.
liked it.
It's getting cold in here. It snowed today.
Yeah.
word.
The fuck.
Well, it's about time, bro. It's the end of November. Like,
Still.
Like we're like,
man, 2 weeks ago I was like in shorts. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I was
I
tripping.
woke up today and I was like, fuck me, bro.
Yeah, I woke up pretty late today.
it was
but
bound to happen, man. Like we've been living
Looking
in
out the window like
fucking Canadian winters.
I
But
was just up north, so this ain't shit. I don't have my jacket on for this episode, so.
yeah.
So you're warm with it?
What do you guys think about Klay Thompson and his injury? How that affects the whole of the NBA?
The Warriors were definitely the Lakers' biggest competition coming into the season, at least out of the West.
Mm.
For me personally, I think
I
from the
agree.
whole
I
NBA
agree.
scape, right?
Houston's done.
Yeah. So it was kind of big hit for them because Klay is their primary on-ball defender.
Mm-hmm.
And with the injuries he's piling up, who knows if he'll ever get
Both
back
his
to
legs
that.
are fucked.
Yeah.
Like, he's got an Achilles injury in one. He had
The knee on the left
yeah.
and the Achilles on the right. It's tragic, man. And,
and
he's such a
especially for
great player.
shooter,
Yeah.
for a
Exactly.
primary shooter and defender.
Mhm.
You do not want to ruin your Achilles every single time you go to make a stop,
cut.
like a
Stop
cut,
cut.
or stop a cut.
He's just going off screens, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be even harder for that to happen.
Yeah.
Just because of the whole injury scape,
That's tough.
and it sucks to see, but the Warriors made some moves.
They still have Wiggins, right?
Yeah, they have Wiggins. They traded for Kelly Oubre Jr.
Yep.
Mhm.
Tsunami.
Yep.
So we'll see how that works.
Tsunami.
He's an expensive tsunami though.
Tsunami
Yeah.
to Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll see. We'll
Jeez.
see what happens there.
Tidal waves.
No man, like
I don't-
he puts him in the tax like super cap. I think
Yeah.
he's worth like
85 million.
85 million. His contract's like what 30 million or
Yeah.
whatever. They gotta
Mhm.
pay 80 million for him because they're in the tax.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Explain
That's
that.
big.
So, just from my understanding,
some
like
people
if
don't
you're there's a hard cap, right? Like
Mhm.
pretty much just to keep things fair.
Mm-hmm.
Every team gets a certain amount of money that they could spend on their team, right?
Yep.
Taxes or teams have the ability to go into a luxury tax where if the team's kind of cumulative salaries are over the hard cap, they pay a tax on it, right? And that tax money gets split up between the league, just to kind of make things kind of even, right? You can spend all this money on your team. All right, send the rest to us, and we'll make our teams a little bit better too. But for them to add, they were right on the cusp. Like Stephen Curry gets paid so much, Klay Thompson gets paid so much, Draymond Green gets paid so much, Wiggins has a huge contract.
Mm-hmm.
Like between those four players is pretty much like a full team's worth of salaries.
Mhm.
So for them, they got to add a bunch of these free agents or
League
just shitty
minimums.
guys, minimums, just like stuff like that. So when you add somebody that already has a decent contract and you're on the tier anyways, you're going to that heavy tax. They're already in. Were they in the luxury tax already?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So now you're double dipping in the tax salary. So
Yep.
you're getting
Interesting.
heavy tax. But that's what happens when you're building like an unfair team, right? Like
Yeah.
should kind of be some ramifications for that. And they make so much money in Silicon. Well, maybe not this year, just because there's not fans there, but that team's valuation goes up all the time. Silicon Valley real estate, or San Francisco real estate, just so expensive, right? So if you have a team there, every single year that you have that team, that real estate gets more and more expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they're not bringing in fans, that team as a whole, just by having a good team in there that has the ability to bring in new people, is just going to keep going up and up in more value. So at the end of the day, do the owners want to pay that extra $80 million? No. But does it affect their bottom line? Yes, but
Fuck
probably
yeah,
not as
baby.
much as like, not having Kelly would affect the bottom line too, because you
Yeah.
need to be able to have a good product that you can put on the floor.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And without him, you're going to be running.
They would have been like an 8th seed maybe.
Really?
I don't know. I think
I don't think
I
they-
think Steph Curry and Draymond Green
Come on.
plus the
G,
second
AC?
pick. Nah,
I know
think
the
they're
West
like-
is tough.
yeah. I think they're a 4 or 5
Yeah.
without Clay.
Because
4 or
I mean,
5?
Yeah.
we wrote off the season after Steph got
Yeah.
hurt
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
season.
Yeah.
They were still a playoff. They were still.
If they wanted to try last year, I'm sure.
You think they're fighting the Timberwolves to get
Yeah.
into the playoffs?
No.
Come on.
Not without Steph. Not without Steph.
Come
Some
on.
Lakers clips.
So I don't know. I don't know what you're gonna do.
I mean,
at that
Dallas
point.
now as of
Dallas
Dallas
nice.
is definitely up there.
Yeah, they're
Dallas killed it.
Portland.
who did they added James? I mean, I saw they
Portland's got
added
a
James
deep squad
Johnson.
now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Portland too.
Re-signed
Denver's
Dallas.
still
That's five
there.
right there.
Yeah.
Denver's still there.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
said Denver, and then you got Utah, OKC or not OKC.
OKC's
Golden
out.
State.
OKC's out. They were in last
Golden
year.
State,
I think Golden State replaces OKC.
and then the
this
Suns. The Suns have a good squad with CP going there.
year. Yeah, we can talk
So
about
that's
that
9.
too. We can talk about that.
CP is just like, I feel like CP's. I used to love CP growing up, but now I feel like he's just that. Not that it's a bad thing, but
He's the OG.
he's the OG, and they try to plug him into a team that needs a veteran leadership point guard type thing to kind of lead the way. We saw what he did with OKC last season, a team that everyone thought that overperformed and
Heavily overperformed.
exceeded
Nobody thought this guy was gonna make the
expectations.
playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then Chris
And-
Paul went on that vegan diet, and he's like, "All right, I'll show you guys what's up."
I guess the Suns are hoping the same thing happens this year now.
I think they will, man. Devin Booker and Chris Paul, after that trade got through, I saw on Instagram first day of the road.
working
Back to
out.
work.
Like
Working out.
we were
quick
talking about
for
this
the
2
gram.
episodes ago. Like I wanted Chris Paul to go to the Clippers because I thought that's exactly what they
Yeah.
needed. A leader
Yeah.
that's gonna
Push
you know,
them.
push them. I don't care
Call
what your
people
bullshit
out.
is out
Exactly.
offside the court. Like I don't care what you're going through with your baby mama, doing all that stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're here
Always
to
the
play.
baby mama.
It's
yeah.
always
Always
the
Paul
baby.
George in the drama.
Yeah, Paul George and his baby mama drama, stripper drama, porn star drama, whatever.
Fuck.
He got engaged though recently, so he's
Yeah.
he's
But
enjoying his.
they-
She got
Obviously,
the ring
he's
first
not-
though. He's an NBA player. He's definitely.
Kawhi probably like, yo, settle yourself.
Fix yourself, G.
If you need my trailblazer, I still got that old school. You know, bunch of babies made in there.
Yeah, for real.
Oh my God. No babies on this, please.
Sign off. And then, other than that, too, like the whole Russ and James Harden, whatever's gonna happen with that, like, I think the agents really fucked them over on that too.
Travis Scott is dumb cheese right now.
Can't make no Houston gear. Can't go to no
he's-
games.
Yeah, he's not pulling up to any games anymore. If James Harden
He's
is
living
gone,
in LA now. So,
he's
so
yeah.
he's gonna
he's
stay with the
dipping out.
Kardashians and that.
He's probably pulling up the Clippers games though, because he can't do Lakers.
That's nasty.
Why can't you do Lakers?
I don't know. I feel like that'd be too bandwagon-y.
Wasn't he there last season though?
He probably was, but
Definitely.
like, I don't want to see you courtside Houston.
And then as soon as James Harden dips, you're courtside LA.
You're courtside LA. Come on, man.
Oh
Come
man.
on, man.
That'd be nasty. Fuck.
I think he's too worried about, like, not worried, but I think he's got his PS5 stuff going on right now. Like,
yeah,
Travis
McDonald's.
Scott, yeah, Travis Scott's like got other things other than Houston
Oh,
problems
easy.
right now.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I think he's kind of good on that. But where do you think Russell Westbrook's gonna stay in Houston?
I think he's gone. I think they're both gone, to be
Yeah.
honest.
You think Tillman Fertitta, just his
Yeah.
business is getting his restaurants, everything else. He's
He's-
just like, you know what, I'm gonna either sell the team or get rid of all these guys, because that's what he's gonna have to do.
Yeah.
COVID really messed up his businesses.
For real.
What does he own?
He just owns a bunch of restaurants and
Mhm.
hotels,
Oh,
which
okay,
are like the
okay.
two things that have been really messed up
Yeah.
by this.
Yeah.
Like he was saying, like when he was 26, he bought his first hotel. Like
Mhm.
that's the kind of guy he was. Like
That's pretty crazy.
he's just been running monopoly. Like
Mm.
he just buys houses, turns them into hotels
Mm.
through his whole life. So like he's got a lot of money, but those two sectors have been the most heavily
Hit
affected,
most.
right? And especially with commercial real estate and stuff too.
Mhm.
So I think you saw Mike D'Antoni just kind of dipped, went to become the Nets coach because he's just like, you know what, I don't want to pay you. Like
Mhm.
I don't want to pay you all this money. Then the
Yeah,
GM
yeah.
kind of dipped too and went to Philly. Don't want to pay you this kind of cash. And
Now he wants Harden there.
yeah, and now with Harden being like, oh, Tillman Fertitta's a huge Donald Trump fan. I don't fuck with Donald Trump. Blah blah blah.
Yup.
Maybe that's just a reason to say to the media.
Biden
you know,
crime
kinda like-
family.
yeah, he rocks with the Biden crime family. Yeah.
Talking with the Biden crime family.
So all that other stuff too. I don't know. Like at the end of the day, like these guys' agents really fucked this up. Like you really gave all the
This
ammunition to
wine's fucking
Houston.
me up.
Yeah.
Keep your composure, G.
We got a couple more topics, bro. We still got another bottle.
We do got another. I gotta do an ad read, dog. Fuck.
I can't read no more.
So, yeah, I think
Get into it then.
that'll. I don't know. I don't see Harden going somewhere. Like, Harden's probably gonna go somewhere, but I definitely see Russ.
He said
going, like,
Sixers
the Knicks.
or Brooklyn. I think it was what he was saying. So
Yeah, I don't know. I think as Tillman Fertitta, I'd be pissed to trade him to Philly
either.
just because it's
Darryl
your old
Morey's
GM there,
and I mean that shit. Yeah, nah.
and that it's like, are you gonna trade him to Brooklyn for all these pieces?
What pieces though? I mean, Karis LeVert,
Karis LeVert, they got
Jared
good
Allen.
They got good players to get.
They do. They do.
It's probably the best
Dinwiddie.
package you're gonna get.
Yeah, that is true. That is
Like,
true. I forgot about that.
Or you're gonna
they
get
do
Ben
have some
Simmons, and you're
assets.
gonna help up.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be Ben Simmons or the Brooklyn package. But
Interesting.
yeah,
Crazy.
so I think we need a refill on this wine.
Yeah,
Take a little
that's the
break.
NBA offseason for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that
Well,
lasted
brought
like
you by
1 week.
agents.
1 week.
Free agency.
When we come back, we'll talk about a little bit of the NBA draft.
And how that relates to IPOs.
Yeah.
See you guys soon. Welcome back. And this episode of The Bottom Line is brought to you by Low & Co, where you can get premium vintage, the latest in sneakers and streetwear for a great price. Visit Low & Co at lowandco_ on Instagram and check out their site, lowandco.ca. Thanks, Low End.
Where's low end at?
We're at 365 Felicia Street, dog.
All right.
All right, we're redoing.
No, that's good.
You sure?
We're good.
Joe's killing me right now. Joe's killing me right now, man.
That's it. That's the low end read. We've done it 3
When
times.
our behind the scenes man is not. You want to redo it, bruv?
No, we're good.
Let's jump right into it.
Yeah.
Draft versus the IPOs.
Yeah. So let's start with the draft. What are some highlights from it?
Highlights. Again, I didn't really keep up too much with the draft.
Number
You're
one
reading.
went
You're busy. You're reading the Steve Jobs book.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards went number 1 to Minnesota.
Did you guys see what he was saying about the NBA?
Ooh.
He didn't love it.
He's like,
He doesn't watch games. Or
he used to
something
be
like
like,
that, right?
he used to be a big football player.
Yeah.
He's got like a football player build.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is he? 6'4", like 225.
225.
He's only 6'4". What position
He's
does he play?
6'5".
Oh, is this
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Word?
a shooting guard.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards?
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
a big.
alright.
He's a big body though.
Yeah.
Word.
He's thick. Yeah, like he's like a running back. Like he's
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
big.
he's built like a linebacker,
Yeah.
running back.
So everyone's going for the Zion types now. Yeah.
He's not like big like Zion, but like he's like got that football like kind of look to him. Broad shoulders, like big.
Big neck.
Yeah, big neck.
Pause.
So like he was saying like, I don't know. I used to play I used to love football, and then
That's
my one
crazy.
coach was like, yeah, the Shiraz's good, He's like, he had one coach in grade 10 or 11 that was like, I think he'd do much better at basketball. Started playing basketball and stuff like that. Got really good at it, and ended up getting drafted first overall. But he's like, he much prefers the NFL to the NBA. He says he doesn't even watch the NBA as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were saying he was just saying that just so he didn't get drafted by Minnesota as first. Like he was like, maybe if he says these kind of things, like it's pretty much like in 2K where you pretty much just say the wrong things every single time, right? Like when you get the player option to say what you want to say. He was kind of saying the wrong things to maybe not get drafted by Minnesota. Maybe he didn't want to go there. But I don't know. Like, what do you think about that? Why do you think he would say that?
Maybe his interests are just elsewhere, man. Because there's people that again, I was watching like a video on a footy player that didn't really keep up with games.
Mm-hmm.
Like Marc-Andre Ter Stegen doesn't keep up with games. He'd rather talk to his wife about her career and what she kind of does on top of cook, do art. So some people are just take that profession as just this is my job, and I'm gonna separate everything else from it. So maybe he's like that, but I know that people see a player who takes their full-on lifestyle towards basketball as, oh, this guy's going to be one of the great ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
He's focused.
that was one of the struggles with this draft, that there was a lot of questions with some of the top picks, including LaMelo and James Wiseman, about like that boomer bust potential kind of, where some of the top players, like you could be getting a star or you could be getting a complete bust from probably the top three. And then the rest of the draft was kind of like role players,
Right.
which is what we kind of saw throughout the rest of the draft. People kind of...
It was a deep draft.
It was a deep draft, but people... it looked like GMs and scouts picked towards kind of how their team is already constructed.
Right.
No one really reached or... no one really reached for a player.
Right.
Which was a good thing to see, because sometimes you see that where someone really reaches for potential.
Do you think the NBA is just that's the way the NBA is built now? It's like you have your star players and you just have your role players now?
I think it's always been like that. I think it's always been a league run by superstars. Like it's the league that's most prominent in. You know, like we were just talking about James Harden, Russell Westbrook. James Harden just turned down $50 million a year contract extension, just for whatever reason, whether he doesn't agree with the owners' political things or he wants to go play for championship contender, but and he's still got 2 years left on his contract. So in any other sport, if it was the NFL, they'd just be like, fuck off, go to somewhere else. Like, you don't want your guaranteed money, go somewhere else, you know? Not a big deal. Everybody can think the way they want, but, you know, like, go do what you want. We're not going to care about it. But in the NBA, there's 8-10 guys that really make a difference. And if you have one of those 8 or 10 guys, I think you got to just suit with them and support the team, right?
Exactly.
That's why Cleveland with LeBron never really did well at the beginning, because they had Zadrunas Sagauskas, they had
Mo Will,
you know,
Eric Snow,
Gibson, Eric Snow, you know,
Popovich,
Did
Fairzow.
you say Popovich?
Sasha Popovich.
Nah.
No,
it was Pavlovich.
That was Popovich.
I thought you said Popovich.
Yeah, my bad. I might have.
Yeah.
I'm slurring a little later.
Drew Gooden.
Drew Gooden, yeah, like the Drew League creator, yeah. So they never really suited LeBron up, and I think the league as a whole figured that out when LeBron left the first time. It was like, if we've got a guy, we need to make sure he's successful.
Build around him.
Build around him, yeah. Like you saw Boston, they drafted late. They drafted 31st, I think.
Yep.
And they picked up probably the best shooter in the draft, from what analysts are saying. And that's kind of what they needed. You know, they weren't looking for somebody to replace
Gordon.
Or maybe they didn't know Gordon Hayward wasn't going to re-sign with them, but they weren't looking for somebody to be the star of their team. They already got Jason Tatum. They already have
Jaylen
Brown. They've got their guys. They needed role players, right? So this is a great team for all those bigger teams. Or this is a great draft for all those bigger teams that needed good role players that could kind of come in, play 15 minutes a game, or a little bit more. You know, they know what they're doing. And then there's slim pickings for those teams that needed that one big superstar to kind of bring in attractions. I think Charlotte did really well with signing LaMelo Ball. I think right after they signed him, they had the most, they already sold out more tickets than they did every other year. And especially with them getting Gordon Hayward, I think that's going to be
bring some views and some money into the team that they never really had in a while.
Exactly. So. And, you know, Devontae Graham?
Devontae Graham.
Devontae Graham, I think he was nice.
He was.
I think that was a good story. Maybe he should have been most improved player last year. But, you know, in a small market team, you're never going to get all those votes like that. So I think now it maybe turns Charlotte from a place nobody ever wants to go to, you know what, they've got LaMelo. Maybe he's not going to be good for a couple of years, but he's going to be bringing people into the seats. And now you got Gordon Hayward, maybe bring up some of the rookies and stuff.
They've always been backed by Michael Jordan as well, you know, as their owner.
Michael Jordan, he's the clearest example. If you're a great player, you're not necessarily a good GM.
But I still feel like I still feel like that's a selling point, though.
MJ?
I think so too. Of course. I think he's the only black owner in the league. If that's important to you, that's another reason to go to Charlotte. You know.
Yeah.
He's got a big pull. He's Michael Jordan. Everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You saw
our man LeVar.
He was pissed that he went third. He's like, "Fuck, I'm gonna have to do this 1v1 game that I talk shit about."
He gets sunned.
And it's all those. Yeah. He's going to be his son at this point. Michael's going to go up to him and be like, yeah, that's my kid now at this point. But I don't know. Like, other than the top 3 picks, it was just kind of just a crapshoot. Everybody was saying the draft really starts at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the Pistons did pretty well this draft.
A lot of people saying Killian Hayes, who they picked, is one of the better players of the draft.
Yeah.
Has a good feel for the game.
Even
Almost
though he's a
plays like
Frenchman.
Nilo or James Harden, which is nice.
I'm always wary of the Frenchmans, though.
Yeah.
You're a Frenchman's.
I'm not.
You're not a
from
French
France.
man.
I speak French, but
Yeah,
it's
let 'em know.
different. Frank Ntilikina's doing nothing for the Knicks, and I had big hopes for him.
Word. That's true.
And
So
not
is Kevin
everyone's
Knox.
gonna be a Tony Parker.
Kevin Knox had a lot of hope in him, too. I just hope the guy that the Knicks picked up this year isn't going to be a bust.
Obi.
Like, Obi.
I want to see R.J. Barrett do his thing too, because I mean he was all right last
Pretty
year.
good last year.
Like he tailed off towards the end, but
Mhm.
you can still see that he has game. He could
Oh, yeah,
definitely
easy.
play.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. Especially with the guy that went to Sacramento. You know him better.
Halliburton, yeah.
Halliburton, yeah.
Great fit next to De'Aaron Fox.
You think so? I think they're like the same. Aren't they both like super fast, can handle the ball? They kind of play the same.
Halliburton's a little slower.
Okay.
He has a better feel for the game, I think. I think De'Aaron Fox is more of a like pace type point guard.
Runner,
He'll push it up.
back side to side.
Yeah, and Halliburton kind of slows the game down. So I think
He's
they
a PG
complement.
too, Halliburton.
PG /
Shooting guard?
Yeah, it's a good change of pace.
Interesting.
They both can handle the ball though.
Which is
'cause
good.
De'Aaron Fox isn't averaging 10 assists a game, so
Mhm.
he's not gonna have the ball in his hands the whole time. And
So you think
that'll
Buddy
be
Hield's
good.
gone?
Ooh, I know. I've heard rumors that he wants to leave.
Mhm.
Well, they just got.
Now Bogdanovich is gone. I think that frees up a spot for him in the starting lineup.
Well, wasn't Buddy always starting?
No.
No.
Bogdanovich was actually starting, but Buddy would play more minutes. He was averaging more points just off the bench, 19.
He's supposed to be the next Steph Curry, man. That's why they drafted him.
That's crazy. Yeah, Vlade was making a lot of predictions going wrong.
I don't know if it was Vlade. I think it was the owner of that team.
Both of them.
That owner's on one.
Oh yeah.
The little short guy.
Yeah. We'll talk about him again. one day.
His last name starts with a V. I don't know. his
Yeah,
full
yeah.
name.
He's like Asian, right?
No, I think he's Indian.
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 Yeah.
But yeah, this guy, he was the kind of guy that was like, I think we should start cherry picking, like play 4-on-5 defense and have one guy in the back, like so we just toss it to him and get a free 2 points. I'm like, all right, when you're saying shit like that, why the fuck did you buy an NBA team in the first place? Maybe that works for your kids, like minor league team. Where
You might play basketball like that.
you can't run that shit in the NBA.
Can't be running that shit. In the NBA,
no.
LeBron's gonna be laughing at you,
Yeah.
dunking on your team.
He's gonna get the rebound and dunk on the one guy you left back there.
It's funny,
Oh,
but it's super interesting that you know we're talking about this NBA draft because it obviously has like a big, even like it sets the precedent for the future for a lot of these teams. Like we're seeing OKC stock up on so many first round picks. You know they might not be a playoff team this year anymore, but they're obviously setting themselves up for the future, right? And how important these draft picks are compared to the NFL, especially, right?
Yeah.
Like the NBA just has 2, the first and the
2
second
rounds.
round, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of teams' futures depend on how well they draft
Yep.
and the value that they get with each draft pick. Because you could get, like we were talking about, you can get, you know, the first 3 picks don't necessarily mean you're getting a superstar. And the last pick of the draft doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting a dud. You know, we've seen Isaiah Thomas do his thing.
Green.
Draymond Green, Van Vliet, you know, another undrafted player. How do you go about finding value in a draft? You know what I'm saying?
It's man, these guys' jobs probably never easy. Like
Definitely
some of these guys may look great on the court, but it comes down to the intangibles too. It comes down to the reason Steph Curry is such a great player is he's been around that whole thing his whole life. Like this is nothing new to him. You take a 18-year-old kid that's never been to New York before, never had girls throw themselves at the player, like all that other stuff. There's so much to being in the NBA other than being on the basketball court. You got to be really good at interviewing the guy. Like, you got to know that he's one of those guys that are going to grind every night. The Klay Thompson kind of guys. They're going to be in the gym every single night. Like, they're going to grind. Like, you don't want to draft a Joakim Noah that's going to be out partying every night, you know? Because both those options are available. Like you could go on Tinder and every single girl you're gonna swipe is gonna swipe right to you, and you're as soon as you're in a new city, you're gonna have whoever you want coming to your hotel.
Whoever.
Or
If you're balling like that, easy.
yeah, like you got money, you're tall, like doesn't matter if you're good looking or not. You're in the NBA, like
Exactly.
you're gonna get played regardless. And especially with internet dating and stuff like that too, like it's just easy. So I only imagine what it's like to be 18 years old, being in the NBA with millions of dollars. You know, the only thing you got to worry about is being at practice in the morning and being at the game at the end of the night. You know, like there's still a half day in between. So
there's a lot of mental side to picking a proper draft pick.
Right.
So it is very tough to see where teams really value, because again, people will value that skill set and that upside, but the other teams that maybe aren't looking for that upside in the early rounds or early picks might be looking for somebody who fits their culture and their mode. So there's a lot of reasons why people are picking the way they are, and we don't get to see that, you know. And it's really interesting.
For real.
Yeah.
it also depends too where you're going and who drafts you. Like they got Cleveland's draft. I hate to say it, but they've got two guards that they just drafted the last 2 out of 3 years. Garland and
Sexton.
They don't know what the hell they're doing with those guys. So you're going to throw in another guard in there?
They drafted another guard?
Another guard.
Jeez.
Like,
Okoro?
isn't he a guard?
No, he's a wing defender.
He's
they
like
wanna-
6'7" though.
Yeah, they
So
want
he could be
to
like
they
2
want
or
to
3.
they want to convert him to like a 3-and-D, but his shooting's kind of iffy.
Yeah.
Probably
the guy
the
from
best.
USC?
No, the guy from
He's a Nigerian guy.
I want to say Syracuse.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody really played in college basketball this
Auburn,
year.
actually.
Yeah.
Auburn, I think. Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, if you're going to get drafted the Cleveland Cavaliers, like, you could have been one of the best players, but if your team is shit, you're going to be shit too. Like, and that's just going to tailspin into someone else. The guy that Golden State drafted at number 2,
Wiseman.
probably a perfect fit for the team. You know, he had his issues in college, like, pretty much got kicked out of college for taking bribes.
Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Interesting.
Taking cash, yep.
Yeah,
from
taking
Penny
cash.
Hardaway.
Penny Hardaway,
Shouts out Penny.
So, like, whatever. That might have
Getting bribes from Penny Hardaway.
just to come
I'm
down.
taking that quick at 18 years
guy
old,
named
dude.
Penny.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Quick.
Yeah.
Who been balling in the NBA?
Yeah,
Of course I'll
just to
take
come to your
that.
team in Memphis, yeah.
Exactly.
With him, like, he got drafted in the perfect situation. It's not every year that one of the best title contending teams gets to pick second in the draft, you know?
Yeah.
It's like the David Robinson situation, or the Tim Duncan situation.
Yeah, with the Spurs, yeah.
Yep.
And it just felt really well, and I hope he does really well there.
He's gonna fill out that like JaVale McGee rim runner type role for now.
Yeah, they've been just
He's got
plugging in guys
potential
in
for-
that spot forever.
Yeah, but he has potential to become almost like a David Robinson type player.
Yeah,
He's
is
like
that
an
what they're
all-around offensive talent.
Yeah.
So we'll see what really happens.
Yeah.
For
It
real,
depends
for
on the
real.
situation. Like, it depends on the person. Depends on, like, too, at the end of the day, like, it's like any job. Sometimes you just get tired of it. Like, you may have hit this, like, huge point, but if you're not one of the stars in the NBA and you're making a couple $100,000, a couple mil, you know, rookie contract, stuff like that, and you're getting no play, you know, you're not having a good time, some guys are just like, you know what, I'm just going to do what Joel Okafor did. I'm just going to keep getting my minimums. I'm going to try to stay in this league as much as I can. It's probably the most money I'm going to get. I'm going to keep focusing on my stuff, play my role, but at the end of the day, this is just a job, you know. So, and I don't know, like, being an NBA scout, probably just as difficult as being like a financial analyst or whatever like that. Like, there's so many options.
Exactly.
There's so many options every year. Like, you never know which new thing is going to be hot, you know? Like,
Yeah, so how does the NBA draft and being like almost like a draft analyst and a financial analyst kind of correlate? How does that work?
Just
Explain
in the name
that.
alone, they're both analysts, right?
Yeah, of
so they both
course.
analyze what's going on. So we were talking about IPOs last episode, about the Ant Financial IPO.
Jack Ma,
Jack Ma, you know.
Young Ma, CPP, communism.
Just so you guys, if you guys forget.
If you didn't know, now you know.
But yeah, so even just people that are making estimates on that, it's very similar to somebody who's a draft analyst. Spends all his time watching like. So even with LeBron, like he's been looked at since he was like 13 years old. Like they knew about him before. Very similar to how IPOs work. Like these guys know about the companies that are going to come up. An IPO doesn't just happen right away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Companies are private companies at the beginning. So like you guys, how you have a low end, there's nobody telling you what to do, right?
Yep.
But if you guys ever get to a point where you're big enough and you guys can sell your stock on the New York Stock Exchange, like, and you guys become a public company and do an IPO, it's very similar to these guys going from high school to college to going into the big leagues, right? The big leagues are going to the NBAs. You pretty much getting placed on a stock exchange, right? You've had to put in all this work before you can get to that point, and the role that analysts have both in the NBA and in the finance sector is to kind of do the due diligence. Should we invest in this guy or should we invest in this company?
Yeah.
What are some things that he does well, or what are some things that this company does well that maybe would make us want to either
what
buy
does
the
he
company.
have potential to do as well?
Does he fit in the marketplace? Like, you've exactly how we were talking about for sports. Like, does this guy fit into the culture? Does he fit into or does this company fit into how the economy is going now? Right? Like, if you're going to be building out a company that's just brick and mortar and has no online presence, it's probably not going to have as good of an IPO as a company that's just straight online with maybe one or two brick and mortar stores, right? Just because that's how the economy's going, right?
Yep.
So on a draft leaderboard, if you were going to do a IPO leaderboard, which most of these companies do, or most of these big analysts do, it's very, very much the same thing. You're looking at what made them great, how did they get to this point, where's the outlook from here? Like, what's the ceiling, what's the floor? Very similar terms, right? Like, stuff that you hear in the NBA podcasts or broadcasts or everything like that. It's very similar to what you're looking at when you're evaluating a company. Like, how many points do they bring in, or how many dollars or revenue do they bring in per year? Like, okay, great. What are their market competitors? Okay, so this is the kind of position they play. Like very similar ways. It's just different kind of terminology, different ways to look at the situation. Right?
And you got to dig deep too, right? Because a lot of the stuff, like especially in the NBA, you could see the player's performance on the court and be like, wow, that's a first round talent. But then you dig a little deeper, you see, where did he come from? What's the situation? Like, what's his personal situation? What's his mindset? All that stuff kind of almost behind the scenes that you don't get to see. But you interview players, you get to know them. And just like we were talking about Anthony Edwards, sometimes that behind the scenes, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself impacts your draft stock. Just like any business, like it could be shiny and beautiful from the outside, but who's running the business? You know what I mean? What and stuff like that.
That's a great point you're making.
That's super important, right?
Like that's a great point you just made.
Sure.
Like what they do on the court is kind of like a company's like quarterly balance sheet, like their balance sheet, like or their profit and loss statement or whatever, right? That's how they show kind of what they're doing on the court. Yeah, the court of business. Every quarter we've increased our profits by 10%. Our revenue's gone up by 10%. Like those are good signs, good trajectories. But if you look at Ty Lawson, good player, good draft pick, but couldn't stick on a team just because he has off the court issues, right? Like just loves to drink, has had 4 DUIs. No team really wants to pick him up. And that's very similar to a company that has a great product, a great marketing, but their management is shit,
Exactly.
So just like you said, they've got to look at who's running the company. They do their due diligence on everybody.
Even someone like Jahlil Okafor, we were talking about earlier, great. He was putting up those numbers and he was looking like a great prospect in college, but how does he pan out in today's NBA, or how does he plan out in the NBA 5 years from now? And that's the same with businesses. Like they could be doing great right now, just like you said, a brick and mortar store or whatever type of business that you run. But how do they are they flexible? Can they adjust? Can they take what's been working with them, what's been working now, turn that into something that's going to work well 10 years from now, 5 years from now? Exactly.
Yeah. Same with Jahlil, exactly like you said. Jahlil Okafor is a perfect example. got drafted. I think was it third?
Something like
so
that.
second
Second
or
or
third.
third, right?
Yeah.
Really high draft stock. Probably would have been a high valuation if it was a company.
Mm-hmm.
And then, kind of, you saw what it was on the court. His play style just doesn't meet the current time. He's a back to the basket, hook shot kind of guy.
Yeah.
That's just not how the NBA is played. So if you were to look at a company that kind of does stuff that would have been great 20 years ago, then those ideas are still good ideas, but can't really translate it in today's time. Just like you said, 20 years ago probably would have been great.
Yeah.
Would have been really good in the league. Probably would average 25 and 13 points a game. But it's just not the game anymore. His stock value from where he was drafted up high probably is no longer the same. That's why you've seen Detroit pick up Josh Jackson and Jahlil Okafor this year. Two guys that were supposed to be high-value players. Josh Jackson, I think, was picked second. A nice 3-and-D guy, but never really got along. Has those personal issues, just whatever. Looks good on paper, but doesn't
pan out.
Doesn't pan out. And him being a Detroit guy, maybe it'll work out a little bit better.
Oh, is he?
He's from Detroit. Yeah.
Nice.
So maybe it'll work out. Maybe it won't, but those are the kind of risks you take. Just like any other GM or any other portfolio manager. Like,
exactly.
You're taking a risk. If it doesn't work out, you cut bait, you trade the guy, or you sell the stock. Like, it's all the same at the end of the day. And I think that's a good intro for something that we're probably going to be doing the next couple weeks, couple months, like a financial GM kind of thing. Like, we'll be talking about this idea over the next couple episodes. But I think it's a great idea. Like, people spend hundreds of hours a week looking up Woj and Shams' tweets and talking about this with their buddies. Imagine if we can create a place where we could do the same thing, just instead of not getting anything out of it unless you do fantasy sports, like where you're spending all your time on these drafts and stuff. If you could spend the same amount of time on companies and all that other stuff and
financial assets,
you can really soak up some knowledge.
Yeah. So I think it'll be cool. Stay tuned for the next couple of weeks. And if you guys like it, let us know how we should implement the idea and stuff like that. But
yeah, for real.
Maybe have your own financial draft.
Yeah. Join us with us.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
No, it'll be cool. Keep an eye out for the next couple of weeks. We'll keep talking about this idea over the next couple of episodes, introducing it, and then I think we'll do a big community thing too. Maybe we'll see what we'll do. It's in the works. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
That's all, Pastor Raz.
Yeah. That's all we gotta let him know, man. Yeah. Stay tuned. Keep listening to the Bottom Line podcast because we got the best topics, the best news, the best wine, the best host. Thank you guys for joining me today.
We're actually not done our glasses.
Word. This is crazy.
I'm feeling dumb. Nice.
Shouts out Joe one time.
Shouts out Joe one time.
But
real
again.
Doing the animations, everything's looking good.
Thank you guys for joining me, enjoying these glasses of wine. 3 great picks today. I'm really, really feeling good right now. But we talk.
He's feeling great, ladies and gentlemen. He's feeling great.
We talked about Steve Jobs and his role with Apple and being a great visionary, but also being a very, very good asshole to his.
Pause, please. Pause, please.
I gotta restart my whole.
Restart your whole.
Nah, you gotta run it.
Restart your.
Keep going.
All right,
So today we talked about Steve. Today we talked about Steve Jobs and his biography and his role with Apple throughout the years as a business visionary. We also talked about the NBA offseason that's been cut from 3 months to 1 week.
Yeah,
bunch of news. We've been keeping up with the Twitter updates from Waj. Shouts out to you.
Waj?
Who's
Waj?
Woj. He's
same information. It's the same information.
Yeah, it is the same information.
Come on, man.
All right, yeah.
And draft IPO.
Stay tuned.
Draft versus the IPOs. Because we're not only going to be talking about basketball players and the assets that they have to their teams, but we're going to try to put a twist on it with the stocks and financial assets.
We'll make it fun.
And how can we make money by investing in great assets?
Yep.
Jack Ma.
That's it from us here at the Bottom Line Podcast. I encourage everyone to listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as Anchor. Shouts out to Anchor one time. Make sure you
Fuck
follow
it
us.
anywhere, G.
Make sure
Catch
you
us on YouTube too if you want.
on
For real.
YouTube as well, and catch us on Instagram where we're gonna be posting all of our insights, feedbacks, updates,
And the wine we sip.
and the wine we sip.
Probably our standings too if we do this financial.
Exactly.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff. So make sure you stay tuned with us and keep
Word.
up with us.
Shouts out Jack Ma.
I want to thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.